turn on audio, that also helps. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We will chant the first verse together. Tadjnanam prasham. I said together. Operational word. Tadjnanam prashamakaram yadindriyanam Jneyam yadupanishadsu nishchitartham te dhanya bhuvi paramartha nishchitehaha sheshastu brahmanilaye paribhramantaha. We saw some very radical definitions of knowledge and that which is to be known. What is the object of this knowledge? What is knowledge? All this we saw very beautifully. And the radical statement right in the first line is that that is considered to be knowledge. What is that? What does this knowledge do? It tranquilizes the sense organs and the organs of action, makes them calm. Whereas every other branch of knowledge, what does it do? It sows the seeds of desire and action. And then, after sowing the seeds of desire and action, you go do, have the desire, do the action, and then what is the reap? The harvest is karma phala, results of action. And then when you take one look at the results of action and you go, oh no, I didn't want this. And then what do? So you go back to the drawing board, go back to square one and say what? I have to do this all over again because the outcome was not in keeping with my expectations. The outcome is always less than my expectation, opposite to my expectation, and so therefore I have to do 2.0, reboot, start. Maybe I don't know enough. Maybe I need a degree. And so I will study. I will know more. I need more knowledge. I need a different book. I need a different kind of a thing. Everything. So many things. I need a different kind of a, know-how. And you know some more. And then it sows the seed of desire, which also has in it the seeds for action. Because desire is not going to let you meditate, keep quiet. It's not. Because if there is desire in the heart, and the stronger the desire, the more the impetus to act. And the actions we saw are of two kinds. What are the actions? Pravritti-based actions, actions that make you run towards something because you love it so much, or actions that make you run away from something because you don't want it to be part of your life. Sometimes first there is pravritti and then there is nivritti for the same thing. Same person also. Yeah. Pujya Swamiji used to put it beautifully. First, he would say, I love you, I love you, I love you. That's what the person says. And then, I allow you to have some space from me. This is the condition. So who would know that the knowledge of objects, here when we talk of knowledge, it's not the knowledge of the subject, I, as it is described in keeping with the teachings, but it is knowledge of objects. Who would know that the knowledge of objects is a pipeline that is directly feeding the samsara, feeding me various desires, bringing to light various desires, and then supposedly resolving the desires through the action, but then those desires are irresolute because in the place of one, when one desire is fulfilled, what happens? 1,000 others come up. Why is it not like this? Why is it like this? So knowledge here, that jnanam, here that's why it says tadeva jnanam. So the word knowledge is a misnomer. It's a knowing that has an edge. That's why it's called knowledge. So it has a knowing that has an edge. And what is that edge? Because it puts you on the path of samsara. And here we are talking of knowledge of objects. Knowledge of everything in the Jagat. We are not saying, please don't go to school and college. Please get, let's be very clear about this. Because that's why I quoted first the Mundakopanishad, which says 2 kinds of knowledges are compulsory. Knowledge of objects and then the knowledge of subjects, of the subject, oneself. So the knowledge of oneself, in order to gain, what do you need? You need language. And the knowledge of language is what? Knowledge of object. And you need grammar. Grammar is what? Knowledge of object. You need shama, dhamma, etc. Those are also knowledge of various ways to be, various ways to hold the body, hold the mind. Those are also object-based knowledges. And all of them are in service of the knowledge of the subject. Then only the knowledge of objects has fulfilled their purpose. Because if you ask somebody, without any experience in life, without going to school, without going to college, you expose them to Vedanta. Here, Tattvamasi. They don't know what, It's like a foreign language. Even now it's like a foreign language, but little less. So it's like a foreign language. How are you going to understand? How are you going to make them, understand? And also, in order to give up, it's all about giving up. We will see this from verse 3, 4 and 5 all start with the expression having given up. Tyaktva, tyaktva, tyaktva. So be ready for that, okay? When should I give up Vedanta? Don't ask, okay? That is not to be given up. Natyajyam. Give up every other thing, all right? So anyhow, here the discernment, when it is not there, then the knowledge of objects becomes absolute and the knowledge of the subject is not seen at all. It's not in the radar at all. But Vedanta is full of paradoxes. You have to go through the knowledge of objects in order to get to the place of even desiring the knowledge of I. Because this giving up, this whole giving up, who can give up? How can you give up? Those who can give up are the people who have something to give up in the first place, correct? So the first half of the life you accumulate. You accumulate toys and say, these are all mine, you can have them. No! Beat up all the other children. Become the neighborhood bully. And then what? Then after that, then you are sick of those very toys. Happens. This is how one grows up. One keeps exchanging toys. And then one ends up in the smartphone, the ultimate and the last toy so far, until it is surpassed by some other gadget. This is what it is. And so the giving up only can happen when one has accumulated, enjoyed, and only then you can let go. And that is why the knowledge of objects is important. Because when I have the knowledge of objects, the desire to have those objects arises. And when I have the desire to have those objects, then I understand, okay, nobody is going to pay for them. I need to get a job. If I want something, I need to have the money. How to have the money? I need to have the job. And then I can get these things. Finally, dream come true. I can enjoy this. I can enjoy that. And all these things happen, and then one enjoys, and then after that there is, even though we say samsara is very unfulfilling, full of strife, conflict, etc., but the reason why it is still attractive, let's not forget, samsara is attractive, yes. That's why, given a choice, what will people like to do? Be in it. And they will give some rationalizations. At least we know the problems. In Vedanta, we don't know what problems may come up. Therefore, I will like to continue what I'm doing. A known problem is better than an unknown problem. Notice I didn't call it what you were supposed to call it. Yeah, because we don't have any such thing in the tradition. No evil, and no evil with a D in front of it either. Yes. So, therefore, the samsara has its use only because it gives you vairagya. That is the benefit of samsara. Oh, samsara also has benefits now. I feel very good. It has only one benefit. What is that? It grows you up. It gives you a certain revulsion, a jugupsa. Revulsion, like yuck, what am I doing? Yeah, same old, same old, same old. Eek, get me out of here. That means samsara has fulfilled itself. This is what it is. And so, now coming to the knowledge of objects and the knowledge of the subject, the knowledge of the subject can only be inquired into, and only one can have a desire for the knowledge of the subjects if the knowledge of the object has been delved into to a certain extent. So I enjoy certain things in life. I accumulate a reputation. So you have to accumulate a reputation, and you have to accumulate acceptability. You have to accumulate the ability to say, yes, I matter. You have to matter. In order for this mattering to not matter later on, first you have to matter. And if there are things like underconfidence of the self, lack of self-confidence, all these things, they have to be fixed up. And that fixing up cannot be done by Vedanta immediately. First it has to be done relatively, so the child grows up. It seeks security first from its parents, then from toys, then from security blanket, because mother is not around. Okay, you are old enough, go to sleep. No, I need a teddy bear. I need a blanket. It will hug the bear. It will hug the blanket, because otherwise life is unbearable. Therefore, it will do that. So it needs to grow in a certain way. It needs to excel in school. It needs to find its niche. It needs to have a certain sense of, I'm good at this. This is where I belong. Even in the family, I have this particular role. Even if it's the role of the complainer. Yes, it's important because many things come to light. Many things come to light. Even if it's the corrector, some children are, they were proofreaders in their last life. And they are born dotting the I, and they're born like little, they'll be tiny, 2.5 feet, and they will be know-it-alls. Yeah. Parents find such children very annoying. But This is, this is what it is. They are born for a certain purpose. They have a certain thing. And they'll keep correcting the parents and annoying. Why? Because they are right. They keep correcting the parents and they are right also. So they tell, this is what you did was not correct. You have to do it like this. And this was not done. Here is a I that has not been dotted. Look, here is a T that has not been crossed. Whole life they'll be doing that and making everyone around them cross. But this is their karma. This is their karma. This is what it is. They have to discover that. They have to discover I'm good at correcting people and hey, I'm right. Most of the time I'm right. That gives a certain sense of being, a certain sense of accomplishment, a certain sense of validation and a certain relative empirical level security. It's very important. It's very important. I matter. I have a place here. I have a niche. This is what I can do. These are my challenges. This is what I have to work on. These are my strengths, my talents. These are my limitations, at least for now. In order to know that is a very important part of a healthy childhood. Therefore, to compete, to do all these things, to try one's hand at various things, very, very, very important. And then, coming to Vedanta, you are asked to shed by studying the Upanishad. Okay? Yeah, that's why it's called Upanishad. And in a Western mouth, it will come out as Upanishad. So, that's what it is. You shed everything that you have accumulated because you are now are daring enough to let go of all that. You don't need to hang on to this anymore. Why? Because the prize is bigger. The prize is ultimate. The prize is limitlessness discovered as the truth of yourself. You don't need to be small, the king of some small little place. World. Samrajya. Forgot to mute the people. Hello everybody, please mute yourself on Zoom. Okay. Now, there might be a setting also to permanently mute everyone. Yeah, I'm thinking about that.
The version is in the back end.
So I'm thinking about that. I will do that. But for now, let us just enjoy this text. So the knowledge of objects is important but relative. And the knowledge of objects and the knowledge of I as Satchidananda, the subject, have nothing to do with one another. They have nothing in common, they have only dissimilarities. The knowledge of objects makes you want to do things. Activates the mind, activates the senses, activates the organs of actions and sets you into motion. The knowledge of the subject makes you fall back on yourself in repose. You see, there is no similarity. That's the first dissimilarity. Second dissimilarity, the knowledge of objects is endless. Why? Because objects are endless. Even now they are discovering deep sea creatures. So you have to go there to photograph. And so in order for people to go there to photograph, you have to have that particular chamber in which you travel, and that has to withstand all that pressure. Their bodies are made for that kind of a pressure, not your body. The people's bodies are not. So until that kind of a chamber is discovered and until it is safe to go deep, you cannot go and photograph these creatures. So they are newly being discovered. And there is no end to this jagat. Jayate gacchati iti jagat. That which comes and goes. Is born, is gone. Is born, is gone. And then this jagat, when can you categorize all the things in the jagat? Never. When can you categorize all the bodies of knowledge in this universe? Never. In fact, everything that you know leads to there is more to know. All knowledge ends whenever the next question is asked. The knowledge ends. What is this? Oh, I know. Poinsettia. Very nice. I'm so knowledgeable. Look. It has these kinds of things. Why is this leaf in this particular shape? This is the American way of saying, I don't know. You shrug the shoulders, bring them to the ears, and then drop them. But maybe a botanist would know. Yes, they would know. They would know why it has this. They would know why it is like this. Usually it is for the sake of, survival, surviving the winds. That's why a lot of flower petals have serrated edges so that the wind does not destroy them. But then you ask them one more question. Why is it like this and the other one is not like this? I don't know. They won't say I don't know because they have PhDs and all these things. They will say, we are working on that. We are working on that. So this is the second dissimilarity between the knowledge of objects and the knowledge of the subject. The knowledge of objects is endless. It's a maze. And it's frustrating because the more you know, what do you know? The less you know. There's always one more PhD thesis. There's always one more award to be given to one more person. There's one more discovery because this Jagat is endless. Why is the Jagat endless? Jagat is Ananta because it is an as-though product of Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So the DNA of the Creator is in the Jagat. Everything in the Jagat is Ananta, endless. No, nothing comes to an end. Everything is endless. And so the knowledge of objects is also what? Endless. The more you know, the less you know about something. And then you can never know something completely in the Jagat. This is a very important point. You can't know it completely. There will always be a question mark, a ... something there. To be continued. That's why the knowledge keeps on increasing. Bulky, like the first portion of the Vedas. The first portion of the Vedas is knowledge about objects of the subject. Objects. Bulky, huge. It will fill up this room and the whole hotel also. It will fill up the whole center. Full of it. Knowledge of the subject, slim. Complete. But how? The self is so, the subject means self, correct? Yes. The self is so vast. How can you say it is complete knowledge? Because it's the only thing that can be taught. No other knowledge can be taught fully without leaving anything to be desired. Even something simple. Let's say there is a Martian that comes. And then you are having a conversation. Somehow you manage. AI is there. You manage with some kind of a chat bot. You manage to communicate. And you say you want to be hospitable. And you should give them a plate of gulab jamuns here. What is this? It's a very prized thing. It is sweet. What is sweet? They ask back. What are you going to say? What is sweet means what is sweet? Even Goddess Saraswati, if she were to incarnate herself here right now, cannot give you this knowledge of what is sweet. She will just make you open your mouth and stuff one in it. Yeah, please find out. She'll give you that kind of a prasada. But she can't tell you what is sweet. Even she herself, the goddess of knowledge, cannot tell you what is sweet. God, how can you explain? You know that taste. What is that taste? That's all. That's all you have to say. Sweet. So, therefore, it leaves something. The knowledge, the third dissimilarity is that it leaves something. Always leaves something to be desired. It cannot be taught completely. Whereas the knowledge of the subject, the knowledge of the I, can be understood completely, fully. Why? Because you are that knowledge. You don't have the knowledge of the self. We saw that in one of the satsang questions yesterday. You are the knowledge of the self. Therefore, you cannot say, I have self-knowledge. Because immediately when you say, I have self-knowledge, there is a problem. What is the problem? Duality. Duality, as you rightly pointed out, is the problem. Because I and the knowledge are different, now I have it. It is with me. No, it is not with you. You don't have it. You are the knowledge. So in a way, the knowledge of the self is a knowledge without an owner of the knowledge. That's why the pramata, the knower, has to be knocked off in the process of knowing this. So it's a knowledge without an owner. Who does this knowledge belong to? No one. And this is illustrated very well in the Kenopanishad. The teacher has a quiz, like Shivam does, okay? And then, in the quiz, the teacher asks in the middle of the Upanishad, who knows Brahman? One ready student, considering himself to be very smart, says, me, I know Brahman. And the teacher delivers a public, humiliating rebuke. Exorcises this understanding, this wrong understanding that I am the knower, by saying what you know is not even as big as a dust ball. Sit down. Student sits down. And another Brihaspati, used sarcastically, another knowing person says, oh, if that was the wrong answer, then the right answer should be to say, revered Guru, I don't know Brahman. That must be the right answer. So he raises his hand and he says, okay, I don't know Brahman. And the teacher says, I knew that already. Shut up, sit down. And then finally, the person who gives the right answer says, I don't say that I don't know it. I don't say that it is not known to me. I don't say that it is known to me. And guess what? Whoever understood what I said also knows what I said. So it cannot be known as an object. That is the idea. And then it is you. It is not some Atma sitting somewhere. It is not some Brahman somewhere sitting. We have to start to speak about this knowledge more and more in the first person. I, aham, aham. And so, this knowledge of the I is the only thing that can be completely known and understood because it is centered on you. What kind of you? It is centered on a you that is self-evident, self-revealing you. Since you don't have to be established, what you are has been misunderstood, the misunderstanding is cleared. That is all that this knowledge does. It's really, really amazing. Very, very amazing. And then this is what happens to Narada. Narada goes to who? The teacher. Who is the teacher? Sanat Kumara. Sanat Kumara is one of the sages sitting at the feet of Lord Dakshinamurti. I'm going to preempt a satsang question just now. Don't ask me which one is Sanat Kumara, please point. Okay? Choose whichever one. And that is Sanat Kumara for you. So, Sanat Kumara is the teacher, Narada is the student. Narada is, who doesn't know Narada? Everybody knows Narada. In all the three worlds, he is famous. If you Google him in Brahmaloka, there also he is famous. If you Google him in Manushya Loka, there also he is famous. Manushya Loka means world of human beings. If you Google him in the world of celestials, there also he is famous in Devaloka, where he knows everything everywhere. And then he understands that there is something that I don't know. There must be something. He doesn't say there is something. He says there must be something I'm missing. Why? Because I accumulated so much knowledge that now I should be happy. But instead what? Soham. Soham is a very wonderful term in Vedanta. Soham means I am non-separate from Bhagavan. But here he says Soham means I am this person. He really means to say ho-hum, not so-hum. Okay? Yeah. He says, this is who I am. Ho-hum. I'm bored with myself. Shochami. I am coming under the spell of grief. I'm subject to grief. Shokasya param tarayatu bhavan. Please take me to the other side of sorrow. What is the other side of sorrow? Abba, why is it taking so long? I saw you all having tea. What is the other side of sorrow? Joy. Yes, exactly. Take me to the other side of this misery. Spare me from this misery. Lift me out of this misery. Because I have heard from you, Bhagavad Sadrishebhyah. I have heard from Mahatmas like you. What have I heard? I have heard from Mahatmas like you that Atmavit Shokam Tarati. The knower of the self crosses sorrow. Please make me cross this sorrow. Sanat Kumara is not an ordinary teacher, direct disciple of Lord Dakshinamurti, and therefore he says, let me customize this class for you. If there is a group of people, you just, teach to some level and hope they understand. And if they are not leaving, then okay, they are here. That means they are getting something out of it. But then if there's one person, you have to customize the Vedanta class just for that person. So he says, let me not start talking uselessly. You tell me what you know, and then I will see if I should pitch you Vedanta 101, 201, postdoc Vedanta. What is it that you need? And then Narada was a humble person. He had no interest in telling everything he knew, but the teacher is commanding him to tell everything. And so he tells the whole paragraph without full stop, almost a page of things he tells. It's like chanting Rudram, where there are no full stops. Yeah. Rigvedaha Adhyemi. Adhyemi means I'm a student of the Rigveda. Yajurvedaha Adhyemi. Samavedaha Adhyemi. Then what else is left? Atharvavedaha Adhyemi. Shiksha, I know. Kalpaha, I know. Vyakarana, I know. I didn't say Vyakarana, Kya Karna. I didn't say that. So I didn't say what should I do with this. I know. Grammar, I know. Niruktam, dictionary, thesaurus, antonyms, synonyms, the book of that, I know. Astronomy, astrology, I know. And then Jyotisham, Chandas, prosody, I know. These are what is called the 6 Vedangas. This is compulsory to study when you go to the traditional Gurukula. Nowadays, we don't need to study it because this job is done in schools and colleges. All these things we kind of know, grammar and language and all these things. Then I know the Upavedas. There are 4 Upavedas. That also I know. Ayurveda, Nakshatra Vidya, Shastra Vidya. Then he says, I also studied, dabbled in Preta Vidya, Bhuta Vidya, in how to harness departed beings into telling you about what it is like on the other side, how to do that. Nakshatra Vidya, how to look at the stars and tell what is going to happen in people's lives. And then all these things. Vakoha Vakam, Ekayanam, various kinds of disciplines, I know. Soham, this is he, I am. Shojami. Sanat Kumara says, I think I know your problem. What is your problem? Narada, you know a lot. You know a lot of nothing. What is a lot of nothing? Nothing. What is a little bit of nothing? Nothing. You know a lot of nothing. But you don't know that because of which this nothing gains the status of becoming something or the other. You don't know the basis for this knowledge. What is it that makes the Jagat go round? You're telling me all the things that are Jagat based. You're telling me all this. You're telling me various things in this universe, Jagat based things, objects, and each of these objects are what? They suffer from the limitations that we talked about yesterday. They are jada, they are inert, they are not chetana. They are finite, they come to an end. All this we saw yesterday. They are incapable of making me happy. Speak for yourself. What do you mean? Yeah. Put me in front of a chocolate cake and then see how happy I become. If you say that, it is then I will say, first, we'll have to do a few things. We'll have to do some experiments. Put you in front of a chocolate cake soon after you have had a fight with a loved one. Does the chocolate cake seem very nice now? Not at all. I don't want it. The next scenario, put you in front of a chocolate cake as soon as you have been diagnosed with a 24-hour stomach flu. Does that look appetizing? Does that make you happy? It makes you sick. Go away from here, you will tell. You will leave that place. So therefore, a lot of things have to come together for the subject-object fusion to create or to generate what people think, generate quote-unquote some happiness. It doesn't generate. It just brings out what is already there. And so the knowledge of objects suffer from all these finitude, suffer from all these limitations. And you, Narada, have indulged in the knowledge of objects thinking that it is what? The subject. And therefore, you need to understand Atma. Here it is called Bhuma, Bhuman, like Atman. We keep changing the, what's its name? We keep changing the nomenclature, the names, so that Atma, A for Atma, B for Brahman, I know this, C for Chit, D for Dharma. Like this, I know all this. No? You have to keep waking up. That's why the Shruti tries to keep changing the word for Atma so that one does not take it for granted. So the knowledge of the subject alone is complete. The knowledge of myself alone can give me the satisfaction to not start up again. Now this is the age of startups. So many startup, and here the quest with which I was born a seeker. And in the last life, died a seeker. And in the life before that, born seeker, died seeker, 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 seeker. And now I understand something. Through this knowledge of the I, that's how one becomes a Dhanya in this Dhanyashtakam. One important thing is totally understood. What is that thing that is understood? What is understood is what is in front of me. Is this myself alone that can, knowing which I can have relief, permanent relief from samsara. Because I understand that the samsara can affect the body-mind complex and not I. I am not in samsara, neither is samsara in me. Samsara is an as though projection of this I, which is free from samsara. The I is as though upholding everything, including samsara. Like I said, samsara is useful because it is aversion therapy. Makes you want to come out of it over time very, very quickly. And so therefore, this is to be known, and this knowledge is prashamakaram indriyanam prashamakaram jnanam tadeva jnanam iti uchyate. Everything else is what? Ajnanam. Knowledge of objects cannot be called jnanam, because what kind of a jnanam it is when it does not fulfill the quest? You keep studying, and then you know something. What do you know? You know how much you don't know. What kind of a knowledge is this? This is the only knowledge that is complete. This is the only knowledge that can be completely taught, can be completely internalized. And then the last dissimilarity between the knowledge of objects and the subjects is this: the knowledge of objects leads to discontent and dissatisfaction. The knowledge of subject leads to what? The opposite. Contentment. Total contentment. It neutralizes the quest itself. Because all the quests of going after so many bodies of knowledge is really the quest to find yourself. Even though you say, I'm an explorer. See, all these people, Columbus and everybody, they all wanted to know the Atma, but they did not know that they wanted to know the Atma. Therefore, they thought building one ship and going around the world is going to cut it. Colonizing other cultures, all these things. This was all because they did not know what they wanted. And here we are in the fortunate, because of grace, anugraha, or working overtime, we are in the fortunate place of knowing what we want. And therefore, this knowledge of the self, which alone gives contentment, which alone gives funeral rites to the questing mind, so that there is no more quest left. This alone is what is called knowledge. And what is this knowledge comprise? What does this knowledge comprise? And it is that which is talked about in the Upanishads. In the primary works of Vedanta, what is taught, that alone is called knowledge, that alone is to be gained, to be studied. And then, if there is knowledge of oneness anywhere else in the universe, that also we call by the name of Vedanta. We find among indigenous traditions all over the world, this knowledge was there. There are stories of Cherokee tribes, of Lakota tribes. All these stories are there. And those stories tell us something, that there was Vedanta there too. The difference between those ancient cultures and the ancient culture of India is that we had a very solid teaching tradition and the oral tradition where all the knowledge was carried in the head and then it was passed on fully. And so the teaching tradition is still alive, whereas in the other indigenous cultures, the teaching tradition appears to have perished, at least partially. They are trying to come back with it. They are trying to regain their ways and of knowing, etc. So Vedanta is not just that is born in India only for Indians. No, Vedanta is a gift for the whole world wherever it appears. And wherever there is the understanding of oneness, wherever there is the teaching of oneness, that is what goes by the word Vedanta. Doesn't have to be in a particular place at the end of the Vedas. It is also at the end of the Vedas, and this is what we have chosen to study because we know this and we know how to do this. That is what we have to see. And then, so what is it that is ascertained, well ascertained by the Upanishad, is that you alone matter. You are the only thing in the world that matters. Everything else is just matter. This is what we have to see. You are the only thing that is sentient. Everything else, as we saw yesterday, is insentient. You are the only thing that matters. You are the only thing that is sentient. And this sentient you is equated in the Upanishads to the Creator. It's one and the same to the creator of the Jagat. So that is that. So when this I is unpacked, what do you get? You get a shell called the body mind sense complex. You leave that aside because that is subject to time, that comes and goes. And what is indweller of this shell, of this name and form, of this upadhi? Who is the indweller? Atma, Brahman, consciousness. I know, I am, that's all there is. And that consciousness, in a different upadhi, in a different garb, the garb which has the causality along with it, the garb that says that you are the creator, you are the truth of this universe. And then that alone is this knowledge, that oneness has to culminate in the oneness between Jiva and Ishvara. It's not enough to say we are all one, everything is one, Ishvara is separate. That won't cut it. Why? Because the rub is because I'm separate from Ishvara. That's why one keeps sitting and singing sad songs. Darshan kab doge. Yes. And Ishvara will say never, because idiot, I'm you. Yes. I can't give darshan. Sad songs one sings. Sad sang, it should be, not satsang. So, one sings these longing, songs of longing, come about because there is no sense of belonging. Wherever there is a sense of belonging, there cannot be longing. So the Vedanta teaches us in two ways. First, you belong to everything. First, everything belongs to Ishvara. You also, your body, mind, sense complex also belongs to Ishvara. And then after that, whatever that belongs is object-based, and then everything is not belonging to Ishvara, everything is Ishvara. And who says? The one who says everything is Ishvara, who is that? I am also what? Non-separate from Ishvara. This is the knowledge. This is what has to be ascertained, which is well ascertained in the Upanishad. This is what has to be gained. Okay, very difficult. How to go about it, don't worry. The second verse will give a primer of how to go about it. But then there is a last line. Sheshaha tu. Shesha means who? Leftovers, yeah. Holiday leftovers. Kept in the fridge and forgotten. Similarly, the jiva who does not choose Brahman is in a cold storage of sorts. Yes. Because that life is just curtailed. You have put a full stop to the life. The reason why this body was given, the reason why this mind was given, the reason why the senses were given has not been explored into, has not been looked at. You haven't embraced your potential, you haven't embraced your capacity to ask these piercing questions and to get an answer also. So therefore such people are called Sheshaha, the leftovers, the sad little leftovers. Nobody looks at. They think they don't matter. Sheshaha, what do? Paribhramanti, paritaha, in all ways. Brahmanti, Brahm, to wander about aimlessly, may I add. Yeah. Because every place they go, it's like driving around in a strange city without GPS and without anything, and then you think this is a shortcut. You go there, it says dead end, turn back, you turn. Then you come there and then you take the next turn, that's also a dead end. Similarly, in life, everything is a dead end. If it is not used properly, if the knowledge of objects is not used in the form of self-growth, if the knowledge of objects is not dedicated for self-growth, emotional maturity, then it becomes a dead end. That we will see in the afternoon class when we start chapter 3. But then, so it becomes a dead end. How many dead ends? Dead end number 1, dead end number 2. Education, dead end, because the more I know, the more I don't know. Marriage number 1, dead end. Marriage number 2, dead end. Marriage number 3. I have been left dead end. Yes, exactly what it is. Job number 1, job number 2, job number 3, house number 1, house number 2, and dream house. Dream house becomes a nightmare. Yeah. Because then you have to sell it. Nobody wants to buy your dream. They have their own dreams, okay? Yeah. And supposedly, those grandchildren for each one of whom you built a room, they'll stay here all the time. They just come for one weekend. Once in a while. Dead end. Everything is a dead end, dead end, dead end, dead end. This is not a recipe for depression. As I said, it can be used as yoga. This is the same text will talk about it. We are talking when it is not used for yoga, meaning self-growth and maturity, inner maturity to come to this teaching. It is used merely as bhoga. If life is just used as bhoga, it will lead to roga. That's what will happen. Yeah. Roga means what? Sickness, disease. And so Sheshaha paribhramanti. Like the blind leading the blind. Andhe naiva niyamanaha yatha andhaha. Mundakopanishad. There's a self-appointed leader who says, follow me everybody. They cannot see, and the followers also can. Not only they cannot see that the leader cannot see. That also they cannot see. Dhadam, the leader falls in a ditch. And all the followers also fall on top of the leader. Fadar, 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 they all fall. With great difficulty, they pick themselves up, dust themselves off. And the leader says, see, I have so much love for all of you. I fell first so that you can all fall on top of me. I cushioned your fall. Jai ho, great leader, all of them say. Then they start to walk again, pick themselves up, they walk again. Leader crashes into a tree. When everybody crashes into a tree, this is what it is. Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya apahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadhau na vidhiyate. Because the knowledge of objects and reveling only in the knowledge of objects leads you down to the road of bhoga and aishwarya. Bhoga, conspicuous consumption and addiction to the consumption. Aishwarya means what? What does Aishwarya? Overlordship is Aishwarya. Power. Many times this is the reason why it leads people to get married. I love you, therefore sit down. Therefore shut up. So, this is what leads people to want to get married. Somebody to control. Once I went with, in one of the questions, people asked, please share stories about Pujya Swamiji. That's why I'm doing this, okay? So, once I went with Pujya Swamiji to somebody's house for Bhiksha. They welcomed us and everything. And the poor husband is standing there, and it was very clear within 3 minutes of entering this house that the wife was running the entire show. She had organized everything, done everything impeccably, wonderful. And she said, what are you doing standing here? And so the poor fellow shuffled off over there and started to stand over there. Then she welcomed the guests in and everything, and then Swamiji was made to sit down. We all sat down and everything, and the guests also sat down. We were just having a conversation, just some kind of an informal satsang, if you will. And then she noticed the husband standing over there. And then she went over there. What are you doing? Making a fool of yourself standing over here. Oh. So then he thought, maybe I should sit down. Maybe I should sit down. Okay. So then he sat down. Somewhere he found a chair and sat down. With all the other people were also sitting down. More guests were coming. They were all sitting down. He also sat down. And then she said, yeah, sit down. I am the one working so hard. I am doing everything for this satsang, from start to finish. And what are you doing? Sitting down. And so then, I looked at Pujya Swamiji. I said, I thought, what is he going to do? Because I could tell he was up to something. And so then he said, the elderly couple, he said, Mama, inge vango, come here. Uncle, come here. So a man came with maybe Swamiji needs something. He says, you can help me by just sitting right here. You sit with me. So then, since Pujya Swamiji had called him and made him sit right at his feet, the wife could not say anything. He had the best satsang ever. Without a word, no word was used. He just said, come here, sit here. That's all it was. Very beautifully handled. And so, therefore, the Aishwarya, this is why we got into this story. Aishwarya means overlordship. That's why people keep pets. Sit down. You have to sit down. Roll over. Why should it roll over? No, it should roll over. Because I said so. That desire is there. That overlordship desire is there. Somebody has to listen something. That's how people have children. Because it will listen to me. Keep quiet. Sit down. I'm in charge here. Who is the dad? Who is the mom? This is where it is. This is a universal desire. A very strong one at that. Oh my God, very strong one. Even coming to the ashram, one wants to make one's presence felt by ordering about everybody. And so, therefore, this Aishwarya, a very strong desire, and then Bhoga. Bhoga. This is, why am I getting into this? This is an explanation of how one becomes Shesha. How did I become a leftover? If one is asking that question, because of this. Because the person, how did the person become a Shesha? The person indulged in Bhoga and Aishwarya, which are natural instincts, nothing wrong. Natural instincts, but the free will to override these instincts is also given. The desire for bhoga given, agreed. The desire for Aishwarya given, but the desire for overriding them is also what? Given. Free will to override them is given. The necessity for overriding them, the rationale is given. This is what we've been doing. And so therefore, these Sheshaha, how did one become Sheshaha? Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam. Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter. Prasakta means dipped in Bhoga and Aishwarya. Like chocolate dipped strawberry. Yes. These people have a coating of Bhoga and Aishwarya. That's all that concerns them, nothing else. And not only that, taya apahrita chetasam, their hearts have been hijacked by these two desires. Vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. Vyavasayatmika buddhi means the attitude, the desire for this knowledge, and the buddhi, the attitude which makes them commit to this knowledge, has gone missing, hijacked by Bhoga and Aishwarya. It's not that the knowledge, the commitment to the knowledge is not there. It is there. The desire is not there. You can't say it is there. But Bhoga and Aishwarya are the thugs that have captured this Jignasa and gagged her. Why her? Because Jignasa is a feminine noun. Okay, yeah. So captured this desire and gagged and bound her, threw her in the trunk of the car, carjacked her this, and then they are, Bhoga and Aishwarya are in the driving seat. This is the problem. So therefore one becomes a leftover, Shesha. And then where do they abide? not Brahmanilaye. Look at the word play here. Not Brahmanilaye, not in the abode of Brahman, but something that sounds strangely familiar, strangely similar. Brahmanilaye. Brahmanilaye has not been said. This is a figure of speech, it's a alankara. Because when you read it, you say, oh, Brahmanilaye. No. Brahmanilaye. Brahma, delusion. Deluded as to priorities, deluded about the results of action, deluded about actions, deluded about desire, deluded about Aishwarya, and deluded about everything. So, in this world of delusion, it's like a maze of desires. Even a rat is better than one. Because the rat somehow, if it's given enough cheese and treats, it finds its way out of this maze, smells and finds its way somehow. And then it can be taught how to do it faster and faster. So even though Brahman cheese is there, and the jiva also has the desires, but somehow gets caught in this maze of these desires which are displaced desires. Desire for anything other than Brahman is a displaced desire. It's a finite desire and it can lead only to more and more finitude, and therefore it cannot be entertained at all. So, not Brahmanilaye. Others are in Brahmanilaya. The abode in which they are is non-separate from them. So, they are as Brahman. In Brahman they revel. And then Sheshaha, the rest of the people, Brahmanilaye, in the abode of delusion, in the abode of several dead ends and wrong turns, in the abode of dejection and passion, and in the abode of always infinitely lost in finitude, they wander aimlessly. More we'll see in the next class, maybe tomorrow. Today we will start Bhagavad Gita. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. One question for today. Should we make the afternoon class 4 to 5 so that we can do that? Yeah. So the afternoon class will not be 4:30 to 5:30. What time will it be? 4 to 5, so that we can go for Christmas to their house. Okay? All right. In their house. Yeah. Don't worry, we'll finish that.